The trouble with Karen Patterson, and believe me there was a lot of trouble with Karen Patterson, was that she genuinely believed the rules applied to everyone except her. She was the president of the Whispering Pines Homeowners Association, a position she treated less like a volunteer gig and more like a divine right. For 5 years, I'd watched her terrorize neighbors over lawn height, grill placement, and the precise shade of beige allowed for front doors. I just never thought she'd come for me. My name is Tom Grayson. I'm a retired structural engineer, a widower of 3 years, and a man who values his peace and quiet. My house at 42 Mockingbird Lane was my sanctuary. It wasn't the biggest on the block, but it was mine. Paid off. No mortgage. Just me, my Labrador Retriever Duke, and a workshop in the basement where I tinkered with metal fabrication projects to keep my mind sharp. The trouble started, as it often does in Whispering Pines, with a violation notice. I was grilling salmon on my back patio when I saw the neon green paper taped to my front door. I sighed, walked around, and peeled it off. It was from the HOA Architectural Review Committee. Violation: non-standard door hardware. Details: the brass kickplate on your front door does not conform to community aesthetic standards. Approved finishes are oil-rubbed bronze or matte black. Remediation: replace hardware within 14 days or fines will accrue at $50 per day. I stared at the notice. Then I looked at my front door. The kickplate was original to the house, installed when the neighborhood was built in 1998. It was brass. It was tarnished. It was beautiful in a worn-in, lived-with sort of way. And Karen Patterson had apparently decided it was public enemy number one. I crumpled the notice and threw it in the trash. I wasn't replacing a perfectly good kickplate because Karen had to stick up her. Well, you know. That was my first mistake. Underestimating Karen. The first week I got 3 more violation notices. The kickplate. A weed, it was a wildflower, in my front garden bed. The fact that my house numbers, which were standard black on white, weren't sufficiently reflective. I ignored them all. Week 2 the fine started. $50 a day. Then $100. Then a letter from the HOA's lawyer, a weaselly man named Bartholomew Finch who wore bow ties and spoke in legalese, threatening to place a lien on my house. I went to a monthly HOA meeting for the first time in years. The community room was packed. Karen sat at the head of the table, a gavel in her hand, her glasses perched on her nose like a schoolmarm preparing to cane a misbehaving child. "Mr. Grayson," she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "So nice of you to join us. We've been trying to reach you." "You've been fining me," I corrected. "For a kickplate." "It's about community standards," she sniffed. "If we let one person have brass, then everyone will want brass. It's a slippery slope. It's a kickplate, Karen. It's been there for 25 years. And standards evolve." The Architectural Review Committee updated the aesthetic guidelines last year. All homeowners were notified by email. "I don't use email," I said flatly. Karen's smile tightened. "That's not my problem, Mr. Grayson. The fines stand. They will continue to accrue until the violation is remediated. Next item on the agenda." I left the meeting seeing red. But I'm an engineer. I don't fight with emotion. I fight with plants. A week later, I drove to Santa Fe to visit my daughter for the weekend. I left Duke with a neighbor, packed an overnight bag and headed south. It was a good trip. We had green chili stew, watched a movie, and I forgot for a few hours about Karen and her crusade against brass. I came home Sunday evening, tired and content. I pulled into my driveway, grabbed my bag and walked up to my front door. My key didn't work. I tried again. And again. I jiggled it. I cursed it. The key went in, but it wouldn't turn. The lock was new. Shiny. Brass-free, of course. It was oil-rubbed bronze. A cold dread settled in my stomach. I walked around to the back. My back door had a new lock too. My garage door keypad had been reprogrammed. I was locked out of my own house. I stood on my front lawn, my bag at my feet, the New Mexico stars wheeling overhead, and I felt a rage so pure and clean it was almost peaceful. I knew with absolute certainty who had done this. Karen Patterson. I called a locksmith. He came out, looked at the new lock and shrugged. "Someone changed this recently. Professional job. You got a receipt for the work? Might be able to trace the installer." I didn't. But I had a pretty good idea who ordered it. The locksmith drilled out the new lock and installed a temporary one. It cost me $400. The next morning, I went straight to the HOA office. Karen was there, of course, sipping her herbal tea, looking like the cat who'd eaten the canary. "Karen," I said, my voice calm. "Someone changed my locks while I was away. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?" She feigned shock. Her hand fluttered to her chest. Mr. Grayson, are you accusing me of something? The HOA has a right to secure a property when fines are delinquent. Standard procedure. Delinquent? I owe fines I'm disputing. That doesn't give you the right to break into my home. We didn't break in. We have a master key. All locks in Whispering Pines are supposed to be keyed to the HOA master system for emergency access. Yours wasn't. So we brought it into compliance. It's in the CC and RS section 12, paragraph B. I pulled out my phone and pulled up the CC and RS document. I'd spent all night reading it. Section 12, paragraph B gives the HOA the right to access the property in a bona fide emergency. Fire, flood, structural collapse. Not to change locks because of a fine dispute. You committed trespass, Karen. And possibly breaking and entering. Her face flickered just for a second. A crack in the armor. Then the smug smile returned. Take it up with the board, Mr. Grayson. I'm just following the rules. I left without another word. But I wasn't going to the board. I was going to my workshop. For 3 days I didn't sleep much. I sat in my basement, surrounded by steel, welding equipment, and blueprints. The rage had cooled into something far more dangerous. Focused technical spite. The HOA had changed my locks. They had asserted control over my access point. They had treated my home like it was their property. Fine. I'd give them an access point they'd never forget. I called a friend from my engineering days, a guy named Leo who now ran a high-security fabrication company. He specialized in vault doors for banks, museums, and paranoid billionaires. Leo, I said, I need a door. How secure are we talking? The kind of secure that makes people question their life choices. He laughed. I've got just the thing. We just finished a prototype for a Federal Reserve annex. It's overkill for a house, but man is it beautiful. A week later, a flatbed truck pulled up to 42 Mockingbird Lane. The neighbors gathered on their lawns, sipping coffee, watching the spectacle. 2 men in work overalls unloaded a massive steel door on a hydraulic dolly. It was 18 inches thick. Solid steel core with a polished stainless steel exterior. The hinges alone weighed 50 pounds each. The locking mechanism was a multi-point system with a handwheel, just like a bank vault. Karen Patterson's SUV pulled into her driveway across the street. She got out, her mouth hanging open. Tom? What in the name of, what is that? I smiled, the first genuine smile in weeks. It's my new front door, Karen. The old one had a security breach. I'm fixing it. You can't put that there. It violates the architectural guidelines. It's not approved. I pulled a folded document from my back pocket. Actually, Karen, I checked. The CC and RS specify approved finishes for front doors. They say nothing about construction materials, thickness, or security level. The door is stainless steel. Stainless steel is not prohibited. In fact, it's not mentioned at all. It's a loophole you could drive a truck through. Or in this case, a vault door. Her face went purple. This is absurd. It's an eyesore. It's my eyesore. On my house. Which you illegally entered. The installation took 6 hours. They had to reinforce the entire door frame, pour new concrete footings, and install a hydraulic assist just to make the door usable for a normal person. When they were done, my house looked like a fortress. A very nice, southwestern-style fortress with a bank vault for a mouth. The handwheel was polished chrome. It spun smoothly, engaging 3-inch steel bolts into the reinforced frame. The door had a time lock feature, though I hadn't activated it yet. I stood on my porch, admiring my handiwork. Karen stood across the street, taking photos with her phone. Probably already drafting the violation notice. Let her try. The violation notices came as predicted. 15 of them in 3 days. Each one citing a different clause. Non-conforming structure. Aesthetic degradation. Potential safety hazard. I framed them and hung them in my hallway. The fines mounted. $5,000. $10,000. $15,000. Then the letters from Bartholomew Finch started arriving. Cease and desist. Remove the door immediately or face legal action. I sent each letter back with a single word written on it, no. I hired my own lawyer, a pit bull named Carla Reyes who specialized in HOA disputes. She sent a letter back to Finch, copied to the entire HOA board, outlining the following. The HOA's illegal entry and lock change constituted trespass and potential breaking and entering. The fines for the door were invalid as the door violated no specific provision of the CC and RS. I was prepared to sue the HOA, Karen Patterson individually, and anyone else involved for damages, emotional distress, and punitive damages. The board panicked. They scheduled an emergency meeting. Karen tried to rally support, but the other board members, people she'd bullied for years, smelled blood in the water. They'd seen her abuse her power. They'd been afraid to speak up. Now they had a chance. At the meeting, Carla laid out our case. She projected the CC and RS on a screen, highlighting the absence of any door material restrictions. She presented photos of the lock change with timestamps from my security cameras showing a locksmith van arriving while I was away, accompanied by Karen's car. The locksmith has already provided an affidavit, Carla said smoothly. He was hired by Karen Patterson personally, using HOA funds, and told it was an emergency security matter. It was not. It was a retaliatory act against a homeowner exercising his right to dispute fines. The room was silent. Karen sat rigid in her chair, her face a mask of frozen fury. The board voted unanimously. All fines against me were voided. Karen Patterson was removed as HOA president and barred from serving on any committee for 5 years. They even passed a resolution apologizing for the lock change and reimbursing my locksmith costs. I should have been satisfied. But I'm an engineer. And engineers finish what they start. I kept the door. Oh, I made one concession. I let a local artist paint a mural on the stainless steel, a beautiful desert landscape with the Sandia Mountains in the background. It softened the look, made it blend in. Even Karen, skulking past in her SUV, couldn't complain. It was art. Art wasn't regulated. But the door remained a vault door. 18 inches of steel. Multi-point locking system. Handwheel. A month later there was a break-in on our street. 2 houses over, someone kicked in a back door and stole electronics. The whole neighborhood was on edge. Except me. I slept like a baby. The police came by, asking if I'd seen anything. The young officer looked at my door, then at me, then back at the door. "Sir," he said slowly, "is that a bank vault?" "Yes," I said. "Yes, it is." He nodded, a look of profound respect on his face. "Mind if I take a picture? The guys at the station won't believe it. Be my guest." The story got around. I became a minor local celebrity. People driving through Whispering Pines would slow down to look at the house with the vault door. Kids would dare each other to touch it. I started handing out candy on Halloween from the doorway, spinning the handwheel to open up. It was a hit. Karen Patterson sold her house 6 months later. The for sale sign stayed up for a while. I heard the buyers asked for a discount because of the eccentric neighbor with the weird door. I took that as a compliment. Today, Whispering Pines is a quieter place. The new HOA president is a reasonable woman named Diane who actually listens to people. The CC and RS were updated to specifically allow any front door hardware and materials, provided they're not actively dangerous. They call it the Grayson Amendment. I still live at 42 Mockingbird Lane. The vault door is still there. I open it every morning for Duke to do his business in the front yard. I spin the handwheel closed every night before bed. It's a ritual now. A reminder. The locksmith who changed my locks that weekend? He sends me a Christmas card every year. I think he's secretly proud of the chaos he helped unleash. As for Karen, I saw her once at a grocery store in Albuquerque. She was arguing with the cashier about a coupon expiration date. Some things never change. But my door does. It stays closed to anyone I don't want inside. And that's the way it should be. The HOA learned a valuable lesson that year. You can change a man's locks, but you can't change his right to defend his castle. And if you try, he might just replace the whole door with something a little more permanent. The moral of the story? Never pick a fight with a retired engineer who has a workshop, a grudge, and a very flexible interpretation of the CC and RS.